Good evening. We call the Hawarden City Council of Hawarden, Iowa to order on Wednesday, May the 22nd, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. All present other than Councilperson Travis Olson, who is not with us this evening. We do have an agenda item that was posted, agenda item number 8, a discussion of solid waste collection. This was posted earlier due to a timely matter that we're going to discuss obviously with solid waste collection. It happens on a daily basis. We'll be discussing that at agenda item number 8. If you wish to address the council and myself this evening and staff, open business from the community, again at number 1C as it always is. We will move on to other standard agenda items. Number 1A is approval of the May 8th, 2019 council meeting minutes. Is there a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Been moved by John. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen. Any clarifications needed? All in favor then of approval of the May 8th, 2019 City Council meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 4-0. We have within our packets the claims for payment for today, May the 22nd. I will start to my left with Rob for questions, please.
No questions.
Okay. Jen, any questions?
No questions.
John?
None, thanks.
Tim?
No. So
Hearing
moved.
motion by Tim for claims for payment. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen. All in favor then of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That again passes 4-0. Next agenda item, open business from the community. Hearing none, we'll move to the mayor's report. I was honored to be with a minute with the mayor last week at the West Sioux Elementary schools with the positive behavior students. That was a great time. Didn't know you could take an Oreo cookie from your forehead and try to get it into your mouth, but we were successful. So congratulate those young people that were part of that, because they were there because of their positive behavior and everything that they've earned with that. This, of course, EMS week again, so we thank all of those volunteers that serve our community in the area in that regard. If you see them, please give them your thanks. And lastly, we have a short proclamation from the American Legion Auxiliary. Whereas auxiliary members of the Hawarden American Legion Auxiliary Post 254 understand the sacrifice of armed forces have made to preserve freedom and to honor past and current American service members, these members will wear a red memorial poppy as a sign of their appreciation on Memorial Day weekend. Whereas the American Legion Auxiliary Memorial Poppy is a symbol of the price of war and the sacrifice of millions. 900,000 members of the American Legion Auxiliary, the world's largest patriotic service organization of women, are asking every American citizen to wear a poppy on the observance of Poppy Day, which will be Friday, May the 24th, in addition to the entire Memorial Day weekend. We wear it in honor of the millions of Americans who have willingly served our nation, all too many of whom have made the ultimate sacrifice. This entire Memorial Day weekend will pay an honor to tribute all veterans, especially those who are currently serving in the War on Terror. The poppy also honors the hospitalized and disabled veterans who make the red handcrafted flowers. The poppy continues to provide a financial and therapeutic benefit to those veterans who construct them, as well as benefiting thousands of other veterans and their families by the revenues collected from poppy distributions. In the battlefields of Belgium during World War I, poppies grew wild amid the ravages of war. The overturned soils of battle enabled the poppy seeds to be covered, allowing them to grow and forever serve as a reminder of the bloodshed of war. Please join the American Legion Auxiliary in recognizing the sacrifice of our veterans by making a donation to the local Poppy Fund, by wearing a red memorial poppy this Memorial Day weekend. Also on the City of Hawarden website, you'll be able to see the Memorial Day celebration activities that we have here at the Grace Hill Cemetery. We'll move on, please, to staff reports, and we'll start with Jacob. Anything down there from financials, please?
On Friday, I was able to attend a training session in Sutherland for urban renewals using TIF money. It was put on by the Iowa Department of Management, and it was a great class. I learned quite a bit and get to put some of that to use with our urban renewal areas. We are moving into the end of the fiscal year, and I'm prepping for the processes of closing up this fiscal year and getting ready to start up the next one. And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you. Travis, Department of Public Works.
On Monday, we hired Chad Krebs, part-time seasonal, to run our street sweeper. This will give us an opportunity, once a week, he can come in early and do downtown Main Street area and then the side streets. And then the other days, he'll continue on the rest of the city streets. This was a decision made to help the street department. So Tim and some of the other guys can be out patching the holes and working on the streets instead of in the sweeper, so.
Well, we'll welcome him back. Mike DeBryan, City Administrator, please.
Just a pool update. We got the big pool. The pumps are in. It filled up, so they're going to pump the chemicals in tomorrow, I believe. So we're looking at a June 1st date of opening the pool. All the lifeguards and things like that, that was the least of our worries this year. So the baby pool pump should have shipped today, and I believe they'll be here early next week to install that one. So things are looking good for the pool. Also, Larry Cope has accepted the position of Economic Development Director. He'll start on June 3rd. So.
Corey, welcome back with your back.
Yes, thank you. Everything's going well in that department, so.
Good.
Couple things, we're still working on nuisance abatement. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to drive around and see a lot of new parking spaces people have put in their yards. We appreciate the cooperation on that. We did extend that time for people to get things done until the cleanup was over. Now that I'm back, I'm going to be going around making sure people have finalized that and got it taken care of. A couple other things, we had the guys go out and give notices for long grass these last couple of days. I know that it's been raining and it's hard to keep up with it, but there have been days that people could get it done. So we are urging everybody to make sure that their lawns are kept and to not blow their grass out into the street. That's kind of been a problem again this year. So ask you just to turn your mower the other way, blow it back into your yard for the first couple passes so it's not getting into our sewer systems. The other thing, school will be out Friday, so we'll have a lot of kiddos running around, so please drive a little bit more careful in town and be ready for kids just like they do, not looking both ways before they cross, and give them a reminder to look both ways, and we should have a safe summer.
Thanks for working with the citizens in regards to cleanup and things. We're really appreciative that they're doing their part.
Yep.
Hi, Mr. Pickner, anything from your point of view?
No.
All right, well said. Thanks. We'll move on to council comments. Anything from council members this evening?
Maybe just a reminder on the grass clippings drop off. Looks like some people have been dumping their garbage cans in there. A lot of pop bottles, plant containers and whatnot. Just a reminder that that's meant for a different area.
And along with that, I think dump the bags, don't leave the bags.
Correct.
Thank you. We'll move on to other agenda items. Agenda item number 3A is a public hearing for the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget amendment. At this point, we will open the public hearing. Any comment from those in attendance there? Any comments received at the city offices?
None.
Okay. Any comments that folks wish to make from here? I appreciate the diligence that the staff has put into all of this. We will close the public hearing at this point, which moves us to Resolution 2019-26. This then would be the approval of the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget amendment. Is there a motion for Resolution 2019-26?
So moved.
It's been a motion by Rob. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. Any questions in regards to this? Hearing no questions, a roll call vote, please, for Resolution 2019-26.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Bergsma,
Aye.
Clucky,
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2019-26 passes. Agenda item number 4, this would be the first reading of 3 of the ordinance 708, ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances by amending the provisions pertaining to the Hayward Municipal Code, Section 36.07, ambulance rates. Mike, you want to just give an overview of what we discussed last time before we place this on the agenda?
Sure. Each year, the insurance industry comes out with new allowable rates for ambulance fees or medical fees in general. And we haven't had ours updated for a long time. And our billing company, PCC, who does our ambulance billing, recommended that we get more current with our rates, thus collecting more of those allowable fees. So that's what we've done in this ordinance.
Are there any questions of this reading of ordinance 708? Hearing no questions, I'd entertain a motion for the first reading of ordinance 708.
So moved.
There's been a motion by John. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. Roll call vote, please, for the first reading of ordinance number 708.
Bergsma,
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Kurth. Feldhacker.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, first reading of ordinance 708 passes. We'll have another opportunity at the next meeting for second reading. Agenda item number 5 is much like this. This is the first reading of ordinance of 709, again with Code of Ordinances amending provisions pertaining to the Hayward Municipal Code. Give us an overview of that, Travis or Mike.
On our gas utility rate right now, we have a $5 base rate, which is supposed to cover basically our hard cost of providing gas service to the home. And it's last updated in '09, and upon looking at it, we discovered that right now we're spending about $8 something to deliver those hard costs of people, of equipment, of everything like that. So it's necessary to raise the base rate up to $9 so that we can be current on what it's actually costing us.
Okay. Any questions from council? Is there a motion for a first reading of an ordinance 709?
So moved.
There's been a motion by John. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. Get you next time.
I'll third it.
Thank you. I'd like to call a roll call vote, please, after the motion and second of first reading of ordinance 709.
Clucky.
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Bergsma,
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, first reading of ordinance 709 passes. Much like other ordinances, we'll have the second and third readings at consequential meetings. Agenda item number 6, discussion and updates on service changes to the service rules. We'll pass this on to Travis.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since the service rules, the policies have been updated. A lot of them are just, one-word changes. We have to add internet when we took that over. There were no provisions for that in there, so we added a lot of things with that. There's a few other bullet points that we've added that are new. Distributed generation is one, where you're interconnected with solar or wind with the electric system. So that's new. We've added a paragraph in there. If we want to go through the...
What we've kind of done is highlighted in red the changes that we're recommending. We did not, this will have to come back in ordinance form because a lot of the rules then get turned into the different utility ordinances. And so we we wanted to introduce this and have you guys go through it, and at the next meeting, we'll come back to it in an ordinance, and it'll be quite a lengthy ordinance that incorporates different lines into everything. Last time this was done was 2009. In our current service rules, we still have ACS as the internet provider, and so we're cleaning up a lot of that. We've also come across different industry standards that have changed in the last 10 years to update. So we can go through it line by line if council wishes, or we can address any questions at the next meeting. Say it's however you guys want to do it. Like I said, we made all the changes in red, took out, double lined some of the stuff that we're taking out and adding in, so.
I don't think we have to go through it line by line. I think
Oh,
just bring the ordinance, and anybody interested can come and read the manual or check it on the internet or whatever, but.
If you happen to, those of you whose iPads aren't working now because of whatever you did to it,
We
John
have it
and
in
Rick,
paper here, so
I can print it out paper form, or if you leave your iPad, I'll get them working, and you can go through it over the next, we had 3 weeks before we have another council meeting, so,
I went through it online, just through a computer, so.
okay.
I appreciate staff keeping on top of this, making sure that we're keeping on top of it, like you mentioned, the industry standards and those types of wordings that we might not have had implemented prior to, so. And all the different changes. There again, it's just updating the service rules and not, it's not financial, those types of things.
It's not increasing anything. Probably the only fee increase or the only thing that would cost anybody money is before, when they sign up for internet, now they have to pay a deposit since we took it over. Well, all the internet stuff's under ACS. We've been charging the deposit. We're not changing any of that. We're just putting it all into our service rules.
Okay.
One of the electrical changes, right now currently, you may have multiple meters, like one on your garage, one on your home, and they're only billed as 1 meter, 1 charge. We'd like to separate that, so if you have multiple meters, you'll get a meter charge for each one plus your consumption. Because that just goes back to pay for the meter and the installation of it originally, and it's just pay back on the electric itself. It's easier for billing also.
And wouldn't that help the homeowner too, to understand a little bit more about, my garage is costing me this much or whatever, and
Correct. Yeah, otherwise, it's just added together, and then there's just one base meter charge.
See, and currently with that, the electric is charged one way, water's charged another, gas is charged another. Most of them, some of them are per meter, some of them, we're hoping to unify everything.
Yeah, this cleans it up a little.
Good.
any other thoughts or discussion for the updates and changes to the service rules?
One of the other major changes, I guess, would be water irrigation meters. There's a paragraph in there, customers can request an extra water meter to meter their irrigation so it doesn't go against their wastewater, because it's not going into the sewer system, it's going on the lawn, so. But then there'd be a monthly meter charge for that as well, so.
It's still going to be cheaper than if you run your sprinklers quite often, and you'll run up your wastewater bill as well.
Right.
So it'll still be cheaper to have that separately metered.
Does that mean the same fee?
Same fee as a
Yeah.
regular, it'd be the same water meter that we use to measure the house consumption. There'll just be a subtraction from that, just for the sewer. Just like it charge your water, but it'll just go against the sewer bill.
If the rain continues, we'll never have to.
Don't have to worry about sprinkler system, do we?
But thanks for thinking of that. That's a good update.
Yeah, a lot of things have come up in 10 years, and
Right,
we're just trying to get them all in there.
you bet. And then again, if the public wishes to read it, we've got We've got
We'll
copies.
make it available.
Okay. Thirty-six pages, just so anybody wants to know.
Big pages, too.
Yeah.
A long one.
Legal size. Jim would like that legal stuff. We'll move on then. We're going to move on then to agenda item number 7. This is discussion on the proposed amendment to the schedule of certain fees.
So right now, we have a fee schedule for several different things, as you can see. We needed to, it includes deposits, so we needed to add the internet and equipment deposit on that. We looked at, one thing I want to point out, our building permits. We do have a fee down. We just haven't ever charged anything for it. And I'm not sure the reason why. So, I mean, conceivably, I think we thought, well, if we didn't charge for it, people will build more things. I'm not sure that's worked out real well. So that may be something we look at implementing, something that's already on our books. Parks and Rec fee, the swimming pool and admissions. In doing some research with area pools, we are very cheap for our pool admissions. Originally, I thought maybe we could implement this year, but we're already selling some season passes and things like that. And since it hasn't been approved, we've been selling them at the old rate. So I would propose that those fees become effective next season for the pool. We looked at our camping fees and looked at what it costs in the area for camping, where we were charging $10, and that's with full hookup, including cable TV. So we thought that, raising that to 15 is probably pretty appropriate. Rob can probably attest to if that's too much or cheap, but
That's still cheaper than where we're at,
Yeah.
so.
and I mean, we're
Not
not
to saying you have to match that either. It's-
right, and we're not trying to compete. I mean, it's those spots are there, and we get a lot of people in and out of there. So, but when you look at the amenities that we have with the bathhouse and cable TV, I'm not sure if there's internet there or not, but it's and it's full cable TV. I think there's everything on it. So, and then grave openings. We looked at grave openings, and in the wintertime, we have to put the propane tanks on the ground, thaw the ground. How big were those tanks?
They're the 100.
Sometimes we've gone through 2 of them in order to thaw the ground. So we basically added a wintertime grave opening fee, in which I believe we checked with you, Rick, and you said that that's not uncommon.
Right.
So.
Just because of the labor and intensity and everything of getting those open.
Right.
Right. So we've added those. Unless anybody has an issue with any of them, we'll come back with a resolution at the next meeting to change those fees. Or if anybody has any questions, we'll more than gladly try and answer them.
Is that shelter house, is that the enclosed one?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, the other ones are all free, so. And I don't know how that compares to anywhere else. We rent it quite a bit. We have
Right.
air conditioning, we have refrigerator, stove,
Kitchenette,
kitchenette in it, so.
is there a bathroom?
Yes. Yep. We're gonna have to look at residing that probably next year, but since it sits right on the ground. So there's expenses and upkeep for all of those. We do hire somebody to clean it and things like that, so.
Any other thoughts or comments in regards to the schedule of fees?
I don't think that they're out of line. Looks like you're only going $5-10, but as long as they still receive the good service and everything through the pool and everything to make it worth it, so.
Yeah, we were looking at family passes in the area, and of course, we did not include Sioux Center in that since they have the huge aquatic center, but people with like pools, Rock Valley was 125 a year for a family pass. Orange City was similar to them in that expense, and, you know, we're still sitting at 80, and even if next year we raise it to 100, we're still, you know, pretty reasonable for a full summer for a family to be able to enjoy the pool.
Could just update it right away as soon as we pass the ordinance, and then
We could, for anybody new buying them, we could if we wanted to.
it just seems simpler. If the costs are really higher, we should be doing
Yeah.
that stuff now instead of putting it off for another year or so.
Yeah. And we could do
Encourage
that.
people to buy instead of waiting and putting it off.
Yeah, after they hear this, they'll hurry up and
Yeah.
buy what they need, so. So, yeah, we could make it effective
Might as
upon
well.
passage.
It's just easier than trying to set one side and
Yep.
everything else is going right as soon as we pass it.
Okay, thank you for that discussion. We'll move on then to the added agenda item number 8, discussion of solid waste collection.
We amended the agenda to include this topic. As I've communicated with council and the mayor, we had some issues come up this week with our solid waste collection. We scrambled, and Orange City Sanitation has come over, and they are right now doing it. Independence Waste has some issues going on that we don't know at this point if are going to be able to overcome. So we kind of wanted to, first of all, explain that Orange City has come over. They have Orange City Sanitation. They are picking up our garbage. It's later than normal for everybody, so even the people that are watching, they have told us that they will get it picked up and they will service the commercial accounts over here. Technically, they needed the okay from Independence, and I think that was going to go through for them to do the commercial.
And our thanks to them for being
Right,
stepping up to the plate, so to speak, so quickly.
yep, it's been a great help. They've had the trucks in town the last 2 days. I believe are coming back tomorrow, and then they'll work on the commercial accounts. You know, they've also expressed an interest in providing long-term our garbage service. Currently, we are under contract for 6 more months. If they have said that if it comes to a buyout of our contract, 6 months is really not good for them because they have to hire another full-time person plus purchase another truck to service us. So I don't know at this point if our current provider is going to be able to get up and running. It does not look like it. So we need to do something or some direction on to what we're going to do for the long term. Even if we put it out for bids at this point, you know, we're looking at a 6-week timeline. By the time we get the specs out, by the time, you know, we get them back and can award a contract. So if it's possible, we're kind of wondering, first of all, is council okay with us negotiating with one contractor at this point? Or Jim, do we have to bid it? I mean, the reason we bid things is to get a better price.
Yeah, we either do, yeah, that's normally what we do under this situation. I think provided the council is all right with it, we just would move ahead with trying to provide a service. It's basically an emergency service. Maybe down the road, you might go back to a request for proposal or a bidding situation, but I don't think the law requires us to do that. Hopefully we could get a negotiation with the present supplier, if they're not going to be able to do it, to just let us out of it, and in exchange, we'd try to reach some kind of an agreement.
And that conversation took place today with our present supplier, who really would not have an issue of just, if we were willing to, and they were willing to just walk away from each other. They want to they've been with us for a long time, and they've really done a good job. They've been, a good partner, and they don't want to sour that in the end by holding us up or not being able to deliver on what, they've promised. So, in our initial conversation today, if we were to negotiate with another garbage company or another solid waste hauler, they would be willing to just sever the contract altogether if we would be willing to. So it would have to be a mutual, walk away from each other. That would then allow us to negotiate with another hauler. And right now, obviously Orange City Sanitation has stepped up. They do many of the communities in the area, and I think that's where we would probably start with negotiating. We've looked at other options. We looked at, do we want to get into the garbage industry ourselves? And after getting some prices from neighboring towns on what it costs for trucks and dumpsters and things like that, we penciled it out today. There's very little margin in it. We could break even, maybe come out just a little bit ahead, but I don't think it's enough for us to lay out the capital up front. We're talking probably $600,000 to $750,000 up front just to buy the dumpsters and the trucks and everything to get started. So I think our best bet at this point is to negotiate a contract with another hauler, get out of the other one, and look, I did give you guys a sheet with the different rates for the area, what it costs us. Right now, we're paying, our residents are paying $13.76 per month. Our actual costs are in that $14.41 to $14.50 range. So obviously, we're not keeping up on that. But if you look at the other communities that are hauling, I have what they're paying and their container size, and then also what they're charging their residents. And obviously, the closer you get to our landfill in Hospers, the cheaper it's going to be, because it's less trips the trucks have to make. So obviously, right now, we're going to be the farthest out. So we would want to be in line there somewhere with our current rate. What we have on our landfill that's different than probably a lot of other communities is we have a landfill sitting out north of town that we have to do continual testing on every year. It's about $15,000 a year to test that to make sure there's no leakage in the cells or anything. We have to have an engineer go out and test that and file paperwork with the DNR. We also have what some of the other communities don't have is cleanup days. Our cleanup days have been averaging $17,000 to $18,000 a year, which is about $1.33 a month per subscriber. So those are obviously added expenses that we have that some of these may not have. So we would have to figure out a rate, first of all, with a hauler, and then add those other expenses on it. So we would have to be looking at an increase, unfortunately. Just how much just depends on what we can get negotiated. So.
How about recycling, Mike? Did you talk to him about that?
Recycling, let's just talk about Orange City Sanitation. What they do is they provide containers. They have a regular garbage rate, and then they provide containers. And their containers are the 60-gallon toters, and then they come through with an armed truck. Driver doesn't have to get out, just stops, picks them up, dumps them, sets them back down. They charge an extra $1.35 a month per customer for those containers. They have a 10-year lifespan. So what they would eventually like to do is get to where they have one for garbage, one for recycling. They really like the 60-gallon containers because it encourages more recycling than the 90-gallon. So they, they're really encouraging that part as well. So our recycling here is very poor, as far as our community goes. I don't know if it was just easier to throw stuff away and not have separate containers, or why, but we do need to get our recycling numbers up. So they're working in these other communities to do that. They would do the same thing. So.
Do they have the option of buying? That's what we bought, 2 containers from Independence, and they're 90s, and, like, they're never even half full hardly,
Right.
but.
He said, it's basically up to your community and how you want to structure it, or how the council would want to structure it. You could do the $1.35 a month where they own them, and they're basically, when they're shot, then Orange City Sanitation or the hauler then replaces them. Or you can buy them out yourself, and then if something happens to it or you need a new one, you'd have to buy your own. The ones that are currently out, I would have to talk to them. I don't know how that would work. I don't know why they wouldn't work. Jim says he has 2 90s. You have, 90s. I don't know why you would have to buy theirs, but that's a question I don't know the answer to.
It'd be a problem for them to dump ours, right? I mean, ours aren't set up for what they want to dump.
Well, if it's the big ones with the metal arm across it,
Yeah.
I think that's
Is that all right?
basically the same thing they use.
Right.
What about all the houses that, there's some people that have, like 4 or 5 every week?
Right. You
So
would.
are they gonna have to buy 3 or 4 or something, or are they gonna, if they don't get out of their truck, we gotta figure out?
Well,
what we're
I know
gonna
they
do.
just had an issue in Ireton, and they're hauling for Ireton, and people would fill their container and then they'd put 2 or 3 bags out as well. They will pick those up, but what they're doing is they're trying to provide a service within that either 60 or 90 gallon container. And they have it set up with the Ireton City office that if you have an extra bag, you got to go down and pay $1 for that bag, put a tag on it, and they'll get out and pick that up.
There's some communities I know where grocery store sells a certain kind of garbage bag. If you buy it, you pay $2-3 for it, and then you can put garbage in it and set it out.
Right, yeah, my sister does that in her community. But what they're trying to do is set a limit on how much garbage you have. That also encourages recycling. If I don't want to spend an extra $1 on a bag, or I don't want to get a 90-gallon container, recycling, on the other hand, is free, so I can fill that bin up with recycling materials.
Yeah. How about I was just looking at, was it 15,000 or something a month that we're paying to Independence? Is they paying a month ahead, or are we paying?
No, we're paying
Have to
behind. The claim that we disapproved tonight is for last month.
So technically, we might owe them a little bit more for whatever they just did last week or
Correct.
something. But
Yep. And that'll come off. Technically, the way we're supposed to do it according to the contract is they're supposed to pay, we're supposed to be able to pay the other hauler exactly what we're paying Independence, and then Independence has to pay the overage. I don't think in this case that's going to be possible.
Right.
So we want to make it right with Orange City, that they came in and helped us out.
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure out
but-
what we're going to do to going ahead, because I think we, obviously we have to.
Right.
Right.
And we have to make it, right now, we guarantee a 30-day or 90-day, and then say we'll give them a whole year, because
Right.
that's
You-
what they want to buy the truck. I mean.
Right. They,
we don't wanna-
obviously they want a 2 to 3 year contract. And I don't really have a big issue in that, as long as the prices are
Yeah,
comparable.
that's what I'm thinking.
We talked price a little bit, and they're gonna be right in the ballpark. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit more than what we're paying now, but people gotta understand with the rate we had with Independence, it was a rate that was,
Yeah, and they
really,
were
really
breaking
good.
down a lot,
yeah,
they were having problems, they weren't doing it. I mean,
right.
I know they were
So,
trying hard, but it wasn't quite coming through.
yep.
And for me, it would be just to keep moving forward and make sure that there's no interruption for service for our,
Right.
and then, letting the community know too that,
Just seeing the number of garbage
Yeah.
bags that were ripped open from Monday and
Yeah.
Tuesday and blowing in the wind and
Yeah.
a lot of dogs and cats or whatever.
And people get upset when you don't pick up their garbage.
Yeah.
So, and justifiably so, I mean.
But I mean,
who
they
wants
should
that
have,
one?
they shouldn't have them in bags is the
Right.
main thing. And it's just disgusting and I see people filling the garbage cans overflowing and cats and dogs chasing around.
And I think if we went to a new system to where we required them to have the toters, I mean, that would take care of some of that. And I think it would look neater, it would keep garbage from blowing all over. It would, especially if you went with the 60 gallon and you didn't want to pay the 90 gallon fee, it would encourage you to recycle more, things like that, so.
Jim, do you want us to have a motion to direct staff to?
Well, I don't think you need a motion if you guys are okay with him doing something. We're gonna have to bring something back, and in that process, there may be a little give and take, and we may, they're getting out of a contract, and we may, give up some of our rights in that, but we'll come back to you for approval on that.
I think if everybody knows what direction that, if we're okay with this direction of both doing the negotiating with both parties, one to get out and one to get in, and obviously any contract approval will have to go, but I think if they know that we're moving in that direction, they're going to be okay with continuing. He said, as far as the garbage hauler that's in town helping us, he said that it would be seamless on their part. They would continue to service us.
And you guys may want to act on your rates rather quickly.
We will. We'll have to get an ordinance as soon as we know the contract amount, an ordinance to change the rates and, whether you want to waive the second and third reading, it's something
May have
we
to
may
in
want
this
to keep in
instance. We
mind.
could
Yeah.
add some
We don't
consideration.
like to do it,
It's a
but,
good time to do it, probably.
yeah.
Any other thoughts from council members?
Pickup schedule remain the same then? Will we try to maintain some continuity with
Yeah,
schedule?
I think they are. I think they'll try to remain on the same kind of schedule or at least they will until, if they have to change it, there'll be plenty of notification beforehand, so.
And our thoughts to them, and we appreciate their
Yes.
working with our community in that regard. There are no consent agenda items, so we will be moving into a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
There's been a motion by Tim. Is there a second?
second.
Seconded by Jen. Again, my thanks to council members and staff for all of your diligent work. We've had a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thanks again for being with us. We're now adjourned.